The Supreme Court this week heard its first major abortion case with both Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh on the bench. The case was June Medical Services versus Russo. It centers around a Louisiana law requiring abortionists have admitting privileges at a hospital within 30 miles of the facility. This is the same standard that medical clinics throughout the state already meet. In the Supreme Court hearing, Justice Samuel Alito was by far the most vocal justice to push back on the abortion facilities case, highlighting the potential conflict of interest. Justice Kavanaugh also pressed June Medical Services on whether it considers all admitting privileges to be burdensome and unconstitutional. The ruling is expected in June. Justices Kavanaugh and Gorsuch are President Donald Trump's Supreme Court nominees. They were sworn in following Senate confirmation battles, which were led by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Joining us now is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Senator, the Supreme Court picked up a major abortion case this session on whether Louisiana abortion centers must maintain the same safety and health standards as other surgical centers. Can you speak to how important it is to have strong constitutionalist justices as the High Court considers cases like this one?
Well, we hope for the best outcome. Obviously, predicting the Supreme Court decisions is pretty hazardous. I can tell you what we've been doing here in the Senate. We had two votes recently, abortion-related votes. One, the pain-capable bill, and the other, the Born Alive Survivors bill, which you could argue was really not an abortion vote, because in that scenario, the baby would have survived a botched abortion and certainly be outside the womb at that point. Stunning that we couldn't get 60 votes for that one or for the pain-capable bill. So I think we still have a roadblock here in the Senate. In fact, it seems to me the Democrats are actually heading in the wrong direction, because they've now backed away from the Hyde Amendment, which your viewers may remember was boilerplate language and bills for 30 years preventing federal tax money being used to pay for abortions. It used to be both Democrats and Republicans would support that language. They've now pulled back from that. So as the public becomes more and more pro-life, it seems that our Democratic colleagues have become less and less inclined in that direction.
Senator, in listening to the past 10 Democratic presidential debates now, it sometimes seems to me your name comes up even more often than President Trump's name. What do you make of this vitriol towards you, and does it boil down ultimately to the abortion issue and the possibility the Supreme Court could chip away at Roe v. Wade?
No, I think the reason the Democrats are agitated, shall I say, about me is because I won't take up the bills that they're passing in the House, all that are very, very far left. They would not pass the Senate. We're not going to waste our time on trying to turn America into a socialist country. That's not what we were sent here to do. So they view me as a roadblock. Frankly, I'm proud of stopping those bills. My colleagues are proud of stopping those bills. We're not going to turn America into a socialist country by picking up the House agenda and passing it.
As you mentioned, you scheduled a vote on both the Born Alive bill and the pain-capable bill. Neither reached the necessary 60 votes. What was your intent in scheduling these bills for a vote?
Well, I thought the American people needed to know, particularly in an election year, where their representatives stand on these important pro-life bills. And without a vote, many of those people who oppose the measures wouldn't have to explain it. I thought it was important for the American people to know where each of us stood on these important pro-life bills.
In your Senate floor speech ahead of the Born Alive and pain-capable votes, you said the senators would be able to take a, quote, clear moral stand. We see where that ended. These bills were both blocked. Senator, where are we in history when it comes to our nation's morals on the sanctity of life?
You know what I think? I think public opinion is moving in the direction of the pro-life movement, but unfortunately, here in the Congress, the Democrats seem to be moving in the opposite direction. I think there's a major disconnect between the majority of Americans on these pro-life issues and today's Democratic Party. Very different from the Democratic Party just a few years ago, in which there was frequently a number of pro-life voters.
Are there other upcoming opportunities in the Senate to advance pro-life legislation?
We'll be looking for any opportunity to do that. It's pretty clear that we have obstacles here in the Senate, not to mention the House of Representatives, which obviously wouldn't pass either of the bills that we've been discussing.
Finally, the Senate has confirmed over 100 federal court judges under your leadership. You are obviously making a stamp on history when it comes to the judiciary. Why is this important for pro-life cases making their way through the lower court system?
Yeah, these are lifetime appointments. The men and women we put in place, 2 on the Supreme Court, 51 circuit judges, which is 1 out of every 4 circuit judges in America have been installed in the last 3 years, are what we call strict constructionists. In other words, they don't try to pass legislation. That's what you do in Congress. They try to interpret the law. And I think pro-life voters should be more comfortable with judges who believe that their responsibility is to follow the Constitution and to follow the law. And that's why there's so much enthusiasm among America's pro-life voters over the people that President Trump has nominated and the people that we've confirmed. My role in it is to determine how quickly they get confirmed. We've done 51 in a little over 3 years. President Obama did 55 in 8 years. Clearly, it's my top priority, a big priority of the administration, and the way to have the longest lasting impact on the country is with men and women who serve for a lifetime.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Joining us now is Marilyn Musgrave. She is a former U.S. representative for the state of Colorado and today is the Vice President of Government Affairs for the Susan B. Anthony list. Thanks for being back here.
Happy to be here.
Congresswoman, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell tells us it's his top priority to confirm judges. What are the implications of this for the pro-life movement?
Well, it's a great time to be pro-life when we see the court shifting. I am so grateful to Leader McConnell for doing exactly what he said he would do when he was minority leader. He said that he would do exactly this, and under President Trump, the Senate has confirmed over 1/4 of the federal judiciary. Those are Trump appointees. It's amazing. It changes everything for the pro-life movement.
This week's Supreme Court case, June Medical Services versus Russo, is the first abortion case with both Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh on the bench. Both were nominated by President Trump and confirmed by Senator McConnell. Do Gorsuch and Kavanaugh share the same judicial philosophy, and what could that mean for this case?
Well, it appears that they do. They're human beings, so we can't predict exactly what they'll do, but Gorsuch has shown himself to be a strict constitutionalist. When you look at Brett Kavanaugh's record, he's independent, he's fair. So I have hope of a very good outcome. It was incredible to be before the Supreme Court yesterday, Catherine, and to be seeing both sides as how they feel about protecting women when they go in for a medical procedure, about health and safety standards. Amazing.
Congresswoman, there was a line that stood out to me from the oral arguments yesterday, and it's when Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg asked Louisiana, quote, "You don't dispute that among medical procedures, first trimester abortion is among the safest, far safer than childbirth." Congresswoman, yeah, can you address that?
It really sets you back to hear that kind of comment. That study was done that she's referring to, although she's mixed a couple of things, in 2012, and it was done by a doctor who, of course, had a vested interest in the outcome, saying that abortion was safer than childbirth because he was an abortionist. And you know what? In 2012, we weren't looking at chemical abortion like we are now, where a woman is given medication and goes home to have an abortion alone when she could deliver her baby. It's an amazing time. But you know what? How about the safety of the baby? How about that? We know that abortion results in a dead child. So I'm taken aback. You think of the joys of pregnancy and welcoming children into this world, and to compare abortion to childbirth like that is unnerving. And not only that, cases being heard about women who choose a procedure that I don't agree with, but shouldn't they have health and safety standards?
Well,
a doctor that
right.
has admitting privileges that performs the abortions, it's jaw-dropping.
That is my next question. This case at the Supreme Court this week centers around whether abortion facilities need to maintain the same safety and health standards as other surgical centers. Can you speak to why that is important?
Well, it's so important. I talked to one of my friends who's a doctor, and he said any time procedures are performed, things will go wrong. You can count on it. And women deserve access to a blood bank, an anesthesiologist. They need to, doctors treating them need to know what they've just gone through. So it's amazing to me that people don't understand that we are pro-life and we are pro-woman. We think women deserve better. When you think of Kermit Gosnell, James Pendergraft, when you think of Ulrich Klopler, I mean, think of that. What happened to those women in those facilities? It's a nightmare.
This should be something we all agree on.
Yes.
Congresswoman Marilyn Musgrave with the Susan B. Anthony list. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.